Hey, what's up, guys? Quick video. This one is on should you or should you not purchase an open box display at Best Buy, PC Richards, or whatever retailer you have in your area or region. I got this question from one of our longtime subscribers to the channel, The Mobs, and it's a great question. A lot of you that are looking at the 2018 models are a little bit overwhelmed by the price of the newer displays and how much money they are, and you're looking back to last year's models. And what's very tempting is not only last year's models, but as the inventory diminishes, we're looking back at open box models. They're half the cost. We know all the usual suspects: 930E, A1E, Samsung QLED, LG OLED, and they're just there. And sometimes they're on, sometimes they're off, sometimes they're in their box, but they're very, very tempting. So the question the Mobs asked me was would I consider purchasing one? And for me, now this is only my opinion, guys, and why I like YouTube and the way it is as a discussion is that this is my opinion and my experience. By asking you your opinion and getting your take in the comments, the person asking for the video not only gets my take, but also gets all the comments and gets your take and your experience. So please feel free in the comments to also talk about your experience with OpenBox, with all kinds of technology, graphics cards, audio, things of that nature, computers, whatever. But this video pertains mostly to displays and why I think they're a little bit different than other open boxes. So my opinion is no, I wouldn't ever purchase an open box or even a used display, simply because of the way the technology is, and that unlike other forms of appliances, things of that nature, they don't have just a simple function. A wash machine washes your clothes, either it does or it doesn't. An oven cooks your food, either it does or doesn't. Refrigerators get cool or freeze, they do or they don't. Displays have so many different ways of working properly or not. And they have so many defective components that aren't always visible upon the first, second, or third time viewing until you really get your face up to the screen. Now, if you're somebody who's watching this video and you're not super picky and you're just happy to have a display that turns on, the HDR button goes in, it looks bright, you're cool with it, then by all means, purchase them, flip them, sell them, Craigslist, whatever. You can really enjoy some really amazing high-end displays for a fraction of the cost. A lot of people will have displays like Z9Bs, they're tired of them, they get rid of them. Then you're just buyer beware, but in my experience in places like Best Buy, their open box was returned for a reason. And it's not always, hey, this person just disliked the effect, they don't like the way the display works, we're taking it back. My experience is, in all the displays I returned to Best Buy, I was doing it consecutively. I had a few Vizios, a few high-end KS9000 Samsungs in 2016, and at one time it was actually laughable. They were all there at the same time. Now, I would kind of go incognito back into the store when I knew the staff that knew me wasn't there, and every one of those displays was on display, and it was on, meaning it was powered on the entire day, running. Also, the issues that I had with these displays, flash lighting, vertical banding, dirty screen effect, even dead pixels, are not obvious in the bright showroom. They're not even bright, they're not even obvious in the Magnolia showroom. But you put that display that I had issues with on a showroom floor with those fluorescent lights, and you can never and will never see what was wrong with those displays. Not to mention that they've been running for 12-hour shifts, running the entire day. If it's an OLED, it might be the same content running, which would, in effect, be weary of burn-in. So that would be a big no from me as far as purchasing open box. Now, I sent in one of my friends to ask about the displays, each one of them, to see if there was anything wrong. And the salesperson said to my buddy, each time, the guy just didn't like the display. There was no information about dead pixels, no information of all the detailed flash lighting was horrendous on those displays. Those of you that have Sony 930Es know that flash lighting can make or break the experience. So they were telling the buyer, yeah, the guy brought it home, didn't like it, and here it is. So that in effect isn't true. So when the salesperson tells you, yeah, he just changed his mind or she didn't like it, they're going to say that no matter what. Unless there's physical damage, unless the stand has a nick in it or there's a crack in the back. You've seen that with KS8000s, that the back of the pieces come apart. That's different. But I can never really fully be sure what their excuses are. So for me, that's a huge no. I wouldn't risk it. I also wouldn't buy a used one on Craigslist either. But for some people, the secondary market is perfect. As far as Best Buy and all the other stores, my question, if I was going to go with it, if I would recommend it to you, was make sure you have the exact same return program that you would have a return policy, be it 30 days, 40 days. Do you still get the same factory warranty of a year for something like OLED? We know with OLED, if there's burn-in, LG basically is all set with trying to replace it. So you want to make sure that you have some coverage, because if you go from Best Buy's coverage back to the manufacturers, we've all learned the manufacturer has a way of telling you tough luck. There's a lot of stories on YouTube of people I've even talked to where they'll even offer to pay to have the display replaced, and they're being told, no, we're not interested. Or I'll pay to have it fixed. So just be very, very careful. Ask if it is, so let's just use an example. Let's say it is an OLED and you walk in at Best Buy and it's an open box, but it's over in the corner, it's in a box, it hasn't been powered on. They don't use it as a display during the day. I would ask for the policy. What's the return? Are there any stipulations on the return? Do I get the full year from the manufacturer? Do I also get the full 30 days or whatever it is? Over $2,000, you should get more than 15 days. You should get 30 or 40 days at a Best Buy. Open up an Elite account. That way you can get a longer time. My point is, do not spend even half the money on a take-it-as-is basis. So those are some of the questions I would ask. Make them power it on. What are the ways I can't return it? Are dead pixels, things of that nature, flashlighting. A lot of times you do have somebody returning it, or I would say less than a lot. The small window of people saying, hey, look, I brought an OLED home, I don't like OLED, or I brought an LED home, I don't like it, is minimal. Most people bring them back because there's something wrong with them. It doesn't power on, there's an issue. So be very, very careful with that. Now, the secondary market, what I mean by that is if you found a KS9000 on Amazon as refurbished. Now, where is that enticing? Well, you're looking at a TV that was $7,000. It's selling for $2,000. A lot of you are thinking to yourselves, well, hell, if I can have a $2,000 or $7,000 TV for $2,000, it might be worth it. For me, this is why it's not worth it, is that the incremental increases from your mid-tier to your flagship are just that. The price gets up exponentially, but the quality doesn't exactly get to that point. The mid-tier or upper mid-tier compared to a flagship isn't night and day. The pricing is night and day. So my point is, if you're going to spend $2,000 or $3,000 or whatever the price is on a TV that's not perfect, I'd rather have a TV that's perfect for that money, or as close as you can get to it. So if you're going to take that risk, especially with refurbished or with open box, just make sure you can send it back. Make sure you have the same coverage that anyone else has that purchases it, and make sure it's in writing. Make sure you get the manager's name and that you're covered. So for me personally, I would not spend the money on an open box. I would not risk it, only because I've seen so many of my own displays there, and I've been lied to and told that they're fine, knowing full well myself. I'm also very picky with technology and displays being defective. Also make sure they're not being run 24 hours a day as well. So for me, for my buddy the Mobs, it's a big no for me, but in the comments, look for everyone else's response. They may have had good luck with it. I wouldn't do it myself, but if you're thinking about doing it, really check your bases. With a display like a Sony 930E, I would not do it, only because that display has had so many people with problems with grainy or flashlighting. I wouldn't risk it. So that's the video, guys. Please be careful out there. I wouldn't do it, but you might. Make sure you cover your butts out there, and thank you so much as always. Take care.